weird my little slideshow isn't working. Sort that out. Alright, well. No stalling today. All right. Yeah, okay, now I remember. Started doing the occlusion shading on this background and then it crashed yesterday. Whew, that was no fun. But I'm seeing some things. On this, that need a little help. Needs to feel like it's getting darker. In some of these really tucked in areas. It's not a world of difference, just enough to make a difference, to make it clear. Not kind of shading it, we're shading it. Where the light can't get into. We're gonna try and make it go black. Okay. Feels better. Okay, save our work. back off a little bit. I mean, it can be tricky thinking about this stuff, to be honest. Forces you to sort of make a decision, like, how deep is this cave, this entrance? Like, how deep is it going? Are there light considerations beyond it I should be thinking about? Is it gonna mess up my composition if I make things too dark down here? Realistically, aren't I just gonna add a bunch of steam and stuff later on? Like here, because this feels kind of like a crevice up here in between these teeth. Make these spiky teeth forms. Feel rounded, feel curving. Do a better job than I started with, at least. It doesn't have to be perfect looking. It's not fresh marble. It's ancient stone. It's gonna have all these little divots, crevices, broken bits, and whatnot. That all helps sell it, right? So, if anything, add more of them. But we're making choices. What's closer? What's farther away? What's coming towards us? What's leaving? I'm in the unenviable position to correct perspective that I wasn't paying that much attention to in the first place when I initially sketched it. So, thanks, me. Feels like, if anything, making some corrections now. Nothing egregious, just not yet optimized. Definitely hard to figure out. Oop. But a convincing sense of light now will help us later on. It's kind of like a fun sense here of it having been carved out of rock. If I embrace that, it'll hide a lot. Feels a little bit like by the time it got to this part of the structure, I kind of just gave up on whatever it was supposed to actually look like once it got there. Maybe there's still something cool that can happen. Kind of drawing on the wrong layer. I was making corrections to the line layer of the background and not the occlusion layer. There's worse crimes. But I want, if I can, to try and maximize the utility of these layers, and by keeping them separate you can have more ability to make corrections or use that information in different ways depending on what you want to get done. You can use the same information twice. To reinforce something, to it's not a slam dunk, but I think that is looking cooler. Makes it feel like they are networks of roots. Coming in, growing down, some organicness, unexpected. Design, spontaneous design. Whatever that is, that doesn't feel like it's working quite right. Let me see what it wants to be. I have a director. Thankfully, I don't work with him too much, but he would use phrases like that. I'd say I think the soda can wants to be more center framed. I guess everything has to have its motivation, right? I think the artist wants to be better paid. Could be something that over here that feels like a staircase. Even a crumbling, ruined one. Now, of course, this image won't be as dark. All the shading. After I start lighting the scene, we're making a representation of sort of a lighting agnostic placement. Of what goes where and showing the forms, but it's not the whole story. There will be amazing dynamic lighting in this thing. It's just we're not there yet. gets tucked in where no light source can get it. It's very valuable information for us to just set aside right now. It just eliminates the guesswork that we're doing later. I guess that's what a lot of the process is honing. It's really making decisions about what we know pretty much for sure, and then extrapolating from that as much as we can. Okay, this is a different track. Let's see here. Let's go back to this. There are some tracks that I've played that ended up being sort of flagged as possible violations, and I don't need to have any of those issues. Need to make this look like it's highly polished. Roots are growing over this ball. It's kind of a cool idea. I mean, roots, what if they were even growing over this statue guy? He's full of color though. I mean, that wouldn't be that obvious what's going on there, but it's a neat idea. You never know for sure what people will think is the cleverest thing. Okay, that looks decent. Decent stab. Probably break this up just a little bit more. Okay, feeling decently grounded in logic and reality. As I keep messing with it. But yeah, eventually you gotta stop. Okay. Let's move on from there. Well, let's see. If we set that to multiply, it'll have a dimming and intensifying effect on the underlying color. Blending and darkening it. I think it looks cool. I mean, I guess I see some things. You know, there's some things that will be almost too hard to correct because I forced myself to use an imperfect drawing to start with, and I'm okay with that. But some of this stuff is just going to be too subtle to really matter much. And then I'm going to relight it all anyway. Okay, so that looks cool. And the fairy herself is, she'll be glowing, so I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know what to, what, if any, shading actually applies. So we can punt that one. move on. All right, let's save our work. Let's do an iterative save so that we are not going to be in danger of corrupting our file and losing all our work. Okay, so this is our other new cool scene. Turn all that off, and we've got all these fun layers. One thing that I see, let's see here. One thing I definitely see is that my layers are not necessarily perfectly labeled. Let's see what I can do about that. Actually looking pretty good. Yeah, that'll be a fun background to shade. Actually add whatever is supposed to be there into it. You can tell I still just, I need to go back and actually fix this background. But I mean, we'll see. Maybe it'll be a brighter scene. It won't make as much sense. I don't know. I think in this one, I'll have to do what I'll have to do. Okay, there's definitely one thing that I want to check. What's in this? Let's see here. Oh, yeah, that's not. That's not the one. Here we go. This might crash my computer because I'm gonna have two giant files open at the same time. Okay, well, one thing I know I can do is I can take this unblurred skeleton here in the foreground. I should be able to just drag it over here. Great. And so now that'll overwrite the blurry one. Cool. Just get rid of that. Okay. I'll fix all that later. Okay. There's an earlier version that I'm looking for before I basically colored everything, where I had more design layers separated out. Some of them got overwritten with color because I was being in a hurry and not paying attention when I should have been. Okay, this is what I mean. So this is good. All right, this design layer, it's black and white, but you can see I've intended that there's a gradient going in a specific direction. And I painted over that with color rather erroneously. Okay, so this is it. Because these images, the files are the exact same dimensions, it should be that I can just drag it and it'll pop into the same place, and there it goes. So that's handy. Now I can use that information and do different things with it. I don't need it now, but I want to have it for later. So I have it, it's there. Oh heck, I'll just turn it on. Set it to multiply. I did that with everything else. And let's see here. Where is... Okay. These design layers give a sense of my thinking in the original sketch, and they represent decisions that I've made, or decisions that I think can work, that I don't want to just forget. Okay. That's making things too dark right now, but we'll get there. Okay, I'm going to turn off all the design layers. There's essentially just gradients that give me a sense of where I want to have the contrast and where I want the eye to go. Close this. Actually, I'm going to save a version of this because this is looking, yeah. I'll just kind of call this Design Master. That way, if I ever need to, because I did that several times, I overwrote several of the design layers when I was doing the flatting, the color flatting. And here where, you know, where we had black and white art, but I used the design layers, the gradients, the light and dark contrast to control what the eye sort of understands the scene to be. I want to retain some of that, and if I overrid it with color, and the color is flat and it doesn't contain any of that information, it's not good. Okay, close that out. Okay, I promise tomorrow I'll take a shower before my stream. Okay. Okay, looks like these bats are burst up. Set it to white, and then here we go. We're going to shade. I don't think they'll need a lot of shading though. For one thing, they're small. The smallness of them means that the drawing lines for them almost are the ambient occlusion layers. We'll ignore things like translucency. I know that light would penetrate the bat wing, of course, but no bat expert, but it feels okay. I mean, I guess. Would it be like this? Surely there's some blocked light. Is that picking up some color? It totally is. That's not right. I must have been, there must be some color that got picked up. I guess I'm not gonna panic about that, but it's not, that's not the intention. There must be some kind of bleed over here where some of that color is getting in. It's not the end of the world. I could just as soon. There. I'll just suck the color out of it. There we go. It's my fault for having cool brushes that blend. Anyway, it does feel to me like these, like the underside of the wing has to be somewhat dark. Like it can't be bright white, right? There has to be some light blocking. It's the underside. But they're like wide out there, so light can bounce or sort of slide its way in. Okay. This will be a rad image. I mean, there's going to be a fucking laser beam blasting out this way, torch over here, glowing eyes over here, all this crazy action and dynamics happening over here. Hmm. Getting that bleed in. Yeah. Well, it's just going to bug me a little bit. Makes me wonder why that's happening, though. There must be some loose pixel in my assembly. But while that is picking up color and it's a little annoying to see right now, the reality is it will probably not be noticeable in the final image even if I did forget it, and I'm not going to forget it. I'm just going to drain the saturation out of it. That's like step one as soon as I get this shading finished on this guy. I'll have to watch for that moving forward, but it's totally fine. It's fine, man. It's cool. I got it. Got to drain the color out of this one. Well, they're all in the same layer, actually, so I can just do that at the end. Okay, next up is this shoulder. Actually, really quickly, let's drain the saturation. Okay, so that's done. Okay. Save the work. So that's kind of cool. It's like the difference. That's with, so this is with the information we just added, the occlusion layer, set to multiply, or we can set it setting it to overlay or to multiply will give us different effects. And I wouldn't really default to setting it to overlay because that's adding light, which we're not doing until later. But you can see that if I was in a hurry and I needed to make it look cool in a rush, that would pretty much do the job. Let's keep it consistent. What was this sent to? That's set to multiply. This thing is glowing like it's radioactive, but that's just the local color of the thing. I tried to honor it. It'll all normalize once I compress the values. And bring it into darkness like me. My wife is running a blender. That might be audible. Okay. Same story. Here we go. I wouldn't exactly say we're making rapid progress, but the These morning shading sessions have been nice for me. And the chat being quiet is actually a helpful thing sometimes. I definitely know I get a lot more done. Smashy, smashy. Swords are going to be tough. Wherever there's a sword or something that's really reflective, I'm probably going to struggle with that. I don't have a lot of great experience drawing shiny things like that. yet be a challenge. But we'll worry about that when we get there. A little too dark down there. Yeah, and this is all too dark too, but you know what? It looks cool. is getting blocked. That's the point. These shoulder pads are kind of like Koopa shells. That looks kind of cool. Okay, I know we got some color bleed on that. I'm going to slurp it out. Ooh, some of that actually. There were other values being adjusted. Gotta watch that. Okay, that should be good. See what kind of difference that makes. That's good. Yeah, that looks red. I'm gonna really quickly go bolt the door. My wife has left for work, and I just need to make sure that my kids don't leave when they wake up. And look at that. I got a smoothie. Leftover bit of breakfast my wife left me. It's kind of funny. I spent a long time structuring my day so that I slept in as much as possible and then crammed in whatever needed to in a hurry during the daytime. Always being behind. And then staying up way too late to fit in everything else that needed to happen. being exhausted the entire time. And so I would take up bad habits like drinking or whatever, just to encourage myself to, whatever, you gotta work late, make a party of it. So I did, and then that just begat more sleeping in and doing all that stuff. But in a weird way, streaming has helped me sort of find the new paradigm. Now I just force myself to get up at an ungodly hour of... This morning I woke up at 3 a.m. I let myself sort of lounge in bed a bit without actually doing much until around 4. But by 4:15, I was actually streaming. That's allowed me to feel like I'm getting a head start on my day. I don't have any sort of tinge of regret like, oh, I needed to do more today, let me stay up. Now it's always, damn, I've got so much done. And I need to get up early tomorrow, so just go to bed. So what was a pretty prodigious, artistically justified drinking habit that I had for a long time. I mean, I still drink, but not the way I did. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's going to be a struggle for me to light and shade these super reflective, shiny materials. But we'll figure it out. And it doesn't look like a sword. It just looks like a piece of metal. Like some construction material or something. It looks like a piece of cement. Kind of funny. But we'll get there. What does the overlay layer tell us? Yeah. Maybe it can be, maybe that'll be my hidden shortcut, is that when I just can't figure out how to light the shining swords, I'll just set the occlusion layer to overlay, and no one will know. Hi, Jules. Jules, are you a spam bot? Say something not spam body. Oh, okay. Well, welcome. Are you a Legend of Zelda fan? Are you an artist? It's your first time chat. You have the floor. I've been rambling to myself for a little bit now. I'm shading my oh, you write poems. Oh, so you're an artist. There you go. Artist with words. welcome. You can keep me... To be honest, I'm a little bit towards the end of my stream. I'll go... My kids are still asleep. It's, they haven't woken up for school yet, so I'm gonna go a little bit longer, but... I'm just shading these, designs. I'm doing Legend of Zelda fan art. Doing small streams because I love supporting creativity and effort. Well, this is probably the smallest stream that is doing art like this. So, if you stream, I will follow you because that is we are of the same mind where we trying to be a good neighbor. I'm fairly new to streaming myself. I only recently started doing it regularly. Here, have you seen any of the stuff I've been working on? I don't, sadly, but I'm thinking about starting a poem TikTok. Oh, that's... Hey, a poem TikTok is actually a really cool idea. Do you play Zelda? Do you know what any of these characters are? I'm like an old Zelda fan, so some of this stuff is... none of it was really in a place to share either, but, you know, you're... Okay, very cool. It's obviously a legendary Nintendo intellectual property that... So, a little bit about me, as I'm a storyboard artist. I live in Los Angeles. I work on video game trailers and short-form entertainment, including advertising and commercials. But the bigger video game projects I've worked on are some Batman projects and Apex Legends and Clash of Clans, to name a few. And because I'm a storyboard artist that works on video games and Zelda is making a movie now, I'm trying to see if I can make a portfolio of like Zelda art, because I'm an old Zelda fan and I work on converting video game titles into cinematic storytelling. And it's like, hey, why don't I shoot my shot, right? And also, I had been wanting to make a stream to help sort of... I'm sure you're aware of the effect of AI art on What I'm worried is that it will cause a skill drain, because the pipeline for... Yeah, I think most consumers or people who obviously have an opinion about like humans making art are absolutely against it. At the same time, it's sort of being rammed down our throats because it's very easy to just crank out low effort shit and clog the internet with it and just take up all the oxygen in the room. And the problem is, like, no one wants to buy AI art, but it's easy to make, so they just slop it out. But if it takes up all the oxygen in the room for too long, it's literally going to suffocate other artists from getting on like the staircase of progress to where they can develop a following, to where they can get that first artistic job. If all the low tier, I mean, AI is I guess like a quick and easy solution. If you like, someone has no budget and they just need something, that does it. But what that does is it takes away the ability for an up-and-coming artist to make that their first step into becoming a professional artist. And if those steps are removed, there's just going to be this really cratering. What's left is the whole artist. Some established artists like me may be okay in the short term, but I'm really worried about how disenchanting it can be for like young art students, or even I have small children who are just now learning there's an authenticity and vulnerability, and you use a machine to do something. There's no risk, there's no reward, there's no mystery, there's no secret, there's no seduction. If you're entranced by a machine doing it, it's sort of like, well, you do you, bro, but I prefer real human relationships, right? So but I've seen I've seen really amazing artists get sucked in. It feels like, to me, it's the dark side, It's like, oh, look at the power. I'm totally entranced by it. It's like, it's like visual crack, and they don't know, or they don't want to see it because they find it too useful. And so anyway, so this stream, I'm really trying to be like, well, what can I do to like showcase a process that feels like it can compete, and it's not instantaneous, and it is hard work, but it is a series of steps that I think most people can attempt. And it's a long process, but I'm gonna turn all these into something that, if I can, I'm gonna make this shit look better than AI art. And in the process, if I can catch someone's eyes at Nintendo and they say, I want that guy, it may be too late to be on the new Zelda movie, but if I can get on the sequel or on any of the derivative projects that come afterward or whatever, it'll still make a great portfolio thing. And it's a great topic to make a stream with, right? So that's what this is. And because I have small children and I have to work during the day on commercial projects, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm crossing my fingers for your poetry. If you have a poem you want to put in the chat, you're more than welcome to. That is another thing I do, is if you have a link or anything you want to pop in, you don't have to do it now. So you're a little on the spot, but I'm here sharing. You can share too. I'm sure your poems are beautiful. Anyway, so this is a lot to do with like Skillshare, and also like getting myself out there more. As a storyboard artist, all the work I do is behind the scenes. Like, it never actually gets shown to the public. It's part of a pipeline. It's early in the pipeline. It's very important, but it doesn't actually no one knows me. I don't get to take credit for anything. I'm paid well, but I don't get to take credit for anything. And now that the industry is in a flux and a state of contraction, I'm realizing now that like there is a downside to that. And I've been... Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. The people can be kind of cruel, especially when we're young and we think it's fun to be edgy. It's all about, there's so much like dire artistic, as every YouTuber, or it's just like a lot of angry rhetoric going back and forth, and meanwhile I can't take a hard stance against AI because all of my clients are using it, like pretty much every single one. And so that's also where I'm like, this is not like a theoretical issue. Like, this is a serious issue where they don't know what they're doing is shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. And because they're my clients and I have to kiss their butt a little bit, or a lot, I can't scold them. But I do want to set, for whatever difference it will make, I want to set a better example for anybody out there who will listen. I feel I may do this and no one pays attention and it sucks, but I don't want to do nothing, because I used to be that guy where I was too cynical, and I was like, whatever to other artists or whatever. I'm not like that anymore. The crisis has shown me that by isolating, I'm not helping this situation. So for the sake of my kids, If nothing else, like this can be a way for my kids are too young to understand these techniques. My kids are like 4 and 7. But, should I meet like an early demise, these lessons will be here and they can use them to sort of infer at least what I was attempting to convey, which is a repudiation of easy instant gratification processes like AI. That is not the way. That is not my way. And I think it's worth trying to say. Are you normally up at 6 a.m.? This is the, what time is it where you are? This is my, roundabout way of geo-guessing where my audience is. You're in Poland. That's awesome. I'm really excited that I didn't know, this is a fun side effect, but I didn't know necessarily that when my kids are young, and this is the only time that I can stream. I got up at 4 a.m. and during the daytime when they're awake and my wife is awake, it's like I got to do chores, I got to do all the work, I got to do all that stuff. My only free time is like if I basically sacrifice my sleep and get up at 4 a.m. And in order to try to do this in a serious-ish way, I've been getting up super early, but that meant that nobody in California, I'm in Los Angeles, so there's no way that anybody that I know can watch me and see my stream. And so I was sort of thinking like, well, what is the point? But I've noticed that actually there's a lot of people in Europe, and there's even an artist in North Africa who was watching my stream and hopefully enjoying it. But yeah, the idea that it can be there can be an international appeal is awesome to me. That's good. I appreciate the follow. I'll follow you too. I know you don't stream, or you say you don't, but I'm just in the habit. I'm still learning how to be a good Twitch neighbor, You are watching, and I'm gonna just ramble a little bit about exactly what I'm doing. In art in 3D, there are these different compositing concepts where we think about light and the different effects that light can have on a scene. And an early stage of thinking about light and lighting is thinking about what we call ambient light and ambient occlusion. An ambient light is like light that's kind of just everywhere. It's like light on a cloudy day. And occlusion means a blockage. So if something is occluded, it's blocked or hidden, like the occult occlusion. Occult, it's blocked, it's hidden. And so what I'm doing is specifically shading areas where light is a little bit blocked or turning away from the light that is sort of everywhere. So if, like, I know that in this crevice of the skull, that's very hard for light to get into it. So I can make that very dark. I know that in between, like in here, where the base of the skull meets it's funny that the top the very topmost vertebrae is a bone called the atlas. Isn't that funny? Isn't that the Greek, or is it the Roman god that holds up the planet? So it's funny. A lot of artistic anatomy has these little jokes built into it. So what got you into art in the first place? My mother is a storyboard artist herself, or she's retired now. My mother is, yeah, in her 70s now, actually. But she was an artist at Disney for 30 years, basically. So that's a roundabout way of saying that being artistic is a little bit of a family business. And she's extremely good at drawing and being artistic, which is very natural for her. So either I picked it up genetically or just by watching her, maybe. But I've been into art forever. I don't remember any time when I wasn't drawing and making art. And if I'm honest with myself, I am like that too. I'm not romantic about it. Like, I don't like. It kind of does, yeah. At least in our case. Sometimes it can just manifest out of nowhere. I have a feeling my son is waking up. I find it interesting when people just sort of become artists despite what their parents or their society is telling them to do. I think that's much more impressive. For me, I almost like defaulted to it. It wasn't like it was any major upheaval or sacrifice for me to do what was obvious. Hey, Squirrel Reaper. Oh, good. Squirrel Jules is in Poland, and she's a poet, and she's popped by the stream to be encouraging. Sorry, Jules, I said too much. Jules is my wife's name. So when you popped in the stream, I was a little bit like, is this is that Julie doing some lurking? I couldn't quite tell. Here's another bit of Max lore is, so while my mother was an artist on cartoons, my father was a writer on cartoons. And so I get it from both sides, where my mom is an artist and my father is a writer. And my dad wrote on many, so my mom worked on many of like the Disney afternoon TV cartoons that you might be aware of, like frankly, you have to be sort of my age, but she worked on, you might have heard of like Chippendale Rescue Rangers, you might have heard of Tailspin, you might have heard of Darkwing Duck, you might have heard of Goof Troop, you might have heard of Gargoyles, those types of things. She worked on so many different things. Yeah. Well, they certainly were hardworking and didn't pay much attention to me. So that gave me lots of time to just do my own thing and just draw and mostly keep to myself. They helped foster my talent by not interfering, which is funny because that's kind of how I do it with my kids too. They don't want my instructional help. Oh, but here's a fun, weird bit of trivia, is that my dad was a writer on the original Legend of Zelda cartoon. I've mentioned this a few times on the stream, but I haven't for a while. So that's even more... Yeah, that's even more like, I'm like, it's all pointing to me trying to do something. I must try to do something, right? So yeah, my dad wrote several of the original scripts for the Legend of Zelda cartoon. And if you ever watch them online, you'll see his name in the credits, Bob Forward. You can see them anytime on YouTube right now or on the website Tubi, if you don't mind the ads. My stream is going a little bit over time. I do need to sort of break away momentarily and get breakfast started for my kids. I really appreciate y'all popping in and letting me chat a bit. It was really good that I had some alone time in the beginning to be productive, but I like being sociable too, and feeling like I can connect, even if it's just with one or two people, and reinforce the message, you know. Let's all be artistic and share things. Okay, I'm gonna save, and I'm gonna bid here. Let's take a second to, here, I'll save this, and we'll take a second to see what it looks like if we combine the shading layer with the color. So that's kind of cool. So that's with, this is no shading, because it's just the line art. And there where you have the shading. And you can see, so it's dim, but it's looking cool. Yeah. Yeah. And what will happen is that, so Jules, if you pop, you know, you don't have to pop in all the time. I'm going to try and come and do this at a regular pace with my early morning streams. But we'll go through the rest of these images. There's like 12 of them. It'll take some time. I'm going to apply all this shading. Basically what I'm doing is I'm adding form and simplifying the decision making later on. The images are going to get dimmer and dimmer until there's basically, it's going to feel like there's no light at all, except for like maybe the tiniest bit of light. And then we're going to add light, and light is an additive process. So like the lights behind me, right now there's like this pink light, a magenta light, and an orange light over here. If you shine those lights together, what you get is a brighter light. They don't cancel each other out, they just get brighter. Oh, cool. Listen, whatever, you can pop in. If you are on Instagram and you see the Instagram stuff, the Study Studio Max is kind of the affiliate. It's not affiliate. It's where I post artwork from here. So, and then the other stuff is my personal stuff and or my life drawing stuff. So I'll follow you. I'll follow you too if you follow me. So how about that? But I love the progress on this, and I appreciate the help, just keeping me company and the encouragement. It really helps a lot. Okay, I gotta get my day started. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Adios.